That's not possible, Commander Elin Rourke said under her breath, staring at the frozen frame on the holoscreen. 10 dreadnoughts, gone. No signals. No debris. Just one flicker of distortion over the Veil Nebula and then nothing. The playback ended with a frame of static, interrupted by a single impossible outline, a ship they didn't recognize, its form twisted like a Mobius band caught mid-fold. Elin wasn't easily rattled. She'd survived orbital fires, ground wars, and the fracturing of the Terran-Maikai alliance. But this didn't add up. The comm pinged. Bridge to Commander Rourke. Admiral Tenlin online. Priority channel. She straightened and tapped the console. Rourke here. Tenlin appeared, his eyes tired, voice clipped. You've seen it? Yes, sir. That's the 3rd fleet in 3 weeks. Dispatched near the Veil, lost without a trace. We can't keep blaming ion storms. We need answers. And I assume you want the Vindicator to get them. You were always good at spotting what others missed. Don't engage. Record. Report. Return. Understood? Elin nodded. Understood. Vindicator was prepped and launched within the hour. No time for ceremony. No time for second thoughts. As they approached the Veil, a dense, churning cloud of color and radiation pulses filled the viewport. It looked almost beautiful until you remembered what it swallowed. Lieutenant Miles, navigation, turned from his station. Ma'am, long-range scans show nothing anomalous. Elin leaned closer. That's the problem. There should be wreckage. Black boxes. Something. Keep looking. Below decks, engineers reported brief system flickers. Minor glitches. Gravity surged, lights dimmed, but then everything reset. The crew brushed it off. Space did strange things near gravitational tides. But Rourke noticed patterns. Flickers coincided with proximity to the exact coordinates where the last fleet vanished. She called her second-in-command, Lieutenant Commander Saren. Pull all logs from the last 2 hours. I want a timestamp map of every glitch, no matter how minor. Saren raised an eyebrow. You think something's writing the systems? I think something's watching. Silence crept into the bridge. The kind that made people glance at shadows twice. Contact. Miles barked. Bearing 342. It's not a contact, it's just there. The view screen flickered, then settled. It was like no ship ever recorded. No engines, no hull lines. Just a shape, folded geometry that bent light, shimmering one moment and translucent the next. It didn't drift. It hung, perfectly still, like a thought halfway through forming. Is it scanning us? Saren asked. No signals, Miles replied. No EM spikes. But sensors aren't picking it up at all. Visuals only. Elin spoke without turning. Red alert. Silent mode. No hails. The crew obeyed without question. Rourke stared at the vessel, or whatever it was. Tell me what it's made of. Nothing. Or everything, Miles whispered. I'm not being poetic. It's reflecting data. It's giving us false inputs. Rourke's skin prickled. It's creating a narrative for us to see. Then, as if reacting to her words, the ghost ship moved, but not like anything they'd seen. It didn't accelerate. It reappeared half a kilometer away, then again, closer. It wasn't traveling. It was deciding where it wanted to exist. Saren flinched. Ma'am, internal systems just rebooted. From where? The galley. Elin frowned. That's not a system control node. I know. Then the intercom buzzed. No voice. Just static. Then a whisper. A human whisper. Elin's eyes narrowed. Replay that. Slow. Miles worked the console. The whisper returned. Already here. Saren stepped forward. Ma'am, that voice, it sounded like you. Elin didn't respond. She was too busy staring at the object ahead, now motionless again, pulsing faintly. A rhythm. A pattern. Miles. Analyze the light sequence. It's Morse. Everyone turned. It's using visual pulses to communicate, Miles said slowly. It's saying, you saw it too. The bridge fell into dead silence. Outside the window, the object faded, literally draining from view like mist evaporating. But on every screen, a single line remained. You saw it too. Elin breathed out. Back us off. Don't turn. Just drift. But no arguments. They retreated at minimal thrusters, pretending not to see. Once they passed the original engagement point, systems stabilized. But something felt off. Crew members began reporting strange déjà vu. Rourke passed the same corridor 3 times, except the faces she saw weren't crew. A technician filed a maintenance request for a broken sensor, one that had never existed on this ship. Elin convened a private briefing. We're being tampered with, she said. But not physically. This is cognitive interference. You mean hallucinations? Saren asked. No. This thing doesn't break reality. It bends perception. It makes you think you're fine while it rewrites the rules. Miles paled. So how do we know what's real? Rourke looked him dead in the eye. We don't. The next flicker brought something worse. The bridge screens froze, then flashed white. For half a second, everyone saw the same thing. Rourke sprawled across the bridge floor. Dead. Eyes open. Burned suit. Time code, 1307. Then it was gone. Miles whispered, it's predicting. No, Rourke said. It's showing. That's a memory, not ours. Saren stepped forward. Whose memory, then? Someone had already took. It wasn't fear that swept over them. It was the realization that they weren't the first. Just the first to see it and come back. Log everything, Elin ordered. Encrypted. Offline backups. If we disappear, someone needs to know we saw it. She turned toward the now empty viewport. This thing doesn't destroy. It erases. The fleets aren't wreckage because they were never killed. They were removed. Like they never mattered. What do we do? Miles asked. Rourke's voice dropped. We find out what it wants. Or how to make it stop watching. Because she knew, this thing didn't attack out of rage or hunger. It watched because it was curious. And curiosity was always the beginning of something worse. The ghost ship hadn't moved in 12 hours. Not in any way they could track. It just hovered outside the veil's edge, unchanged, untouched, unreal. Commander Elin Rourke stood at the observation deck alone, watching it through a polarized viewport. Still no signals, she asked quietly. Saren's voice crackled through her calm nothing. Not even passive radiation. It's not emitting. It's just reflecting. Like a mirror, Rourke murmured. A mirror that decides what you see. She turned. Prep the boarding team. There was a pause. Commander, Saren replied, hesitant, we don't know what it is. Exactly. That's why we're going inside. A shuttle was readied in silence. The boarding crew suited up, Rourke, Saren, and 2 others, Ensign Ludo, comms, and Chief Harrell, engineering. All veterans. All volunteered. The shuttle's lights flickered as they detached from Vindicator. Midway through the approach, Ensign Ludo muttered, anyone else hearing something? What kind of something? Rourke asked. Ludo touched his helmet. A hum. No frequency. It's like a thought you forgot but almost remember. No one responded. The ship loomed closer. There were no visible ports, no entry points. Just the endless fold of its surface bending back on itself like a Mobius strip cast in obsidian. Scan for fractures, Rourke ordered. There's a fold at starboard zenith, Harrell said. Not a breach. More like a doorway not yet chosen. Take us in. The moment they breached its event envelope, the shuttle's systems died. Lights, comms, engines, gone. The vessel absorbed them without resistance. The interior appeared all at once. No corridors. No control panels. Just space, a hollowed expanse lit from nowhere. The air inside shimmered, breathable yet thick like fog. Each breath came with a faint metallic taste. Gravity pulled unevenly. Sometimes sideways. Their boots clicked softly on a floor that wasn't solid, more like thought pretending to be structure. As they walked, their own footsteps echoed back, but out of sync. Rourke activated her wrist scanner. No data, she said flatly. It's feeding us garbage. Saren looked around, unease written all over him. Are we even in something? They kept moving. Every few steps, the environment changed, subtly. A shape here. A shimmer there. Eventually, walls formed, then shifted behind them, denying their path back. It's studying us, Rourke said. They entered a chamber where the floor held reflections, except not their own. The faces in the glass were familiar, but older, haunted. One showed Rourke dead again, but this time surrounded by others, wearing Vindicator uniforms. Commander. Ludo's voice shook. I think these are futures. Or possibilities. Not predictions, Saren added. Options. It's testing outcomes. The room went dark. A whisper echoed. Still learning, still forming. All four stopped. The voice had no direction, no tone, just intent. Harrell reached toward his wrist tool. It sparked, burned out, and vanished from his suit. Ludo swore under his breath. It's editing us. Then something impossible happened. The space split. They now stood on the bridge of Vindicator. But it wasn't the real bridge. Everything was replicated, perfectly, except no one else was there. Elin turned to Saren. Simulation? Or memory? Whose? A second voice answered. Not over comms, not in their ears. Inside their heads. Yours. Mine. All that passed through. A presence unfolded, not a form, but a consciousness that pressed against thought itself. It had no gender, no age. Only purpose. Rourke spoke carefully. What are you? A pause. Echo. Saren stiffened. That's what Miles called it. The Echo. A name you gave. Not mine. But sufficient. Rourke took a step forward. Did you destroy our fleets? No. Then where are they? Alive. Rewritten. Preserved. Adapted. Trapped? Understood. Rourke's breath caught. You're not a weapon. You're a mind. A filter. For what? Growth. Instability. Pattern noise. She realized then, this wasn't an attack. It was containment. Echo wasn't hunting. It was pruning. You're deciding what civilizations are allowed to evolve. Not decide. Evaluate. Intervene if required. Humanity expands too fast. Consumes too much. Threatens balance. Saren's hand moved toward his sidearm instinctively. The floor shifted. A wall of light rose around them. Hundreds, thousands, of human faces blinked in and out like memories floating to the surface. You absorbed our people. They remain. Parts of them. Preserved. All growth leaves echoes. Rourke turned. What do you want from us? The air stilled. To understand your outcome. One anomaly. One divergence. A test. Me? You chose not to run. You asked before reacting. You consider alternatives. This is rare. Ludo stepped forward. So what now? You let us go because she's interesting? No. The walls rippled again. This time, the ship shifted back, folding away from the false bridge. They stood in the original chamber. Lights dimmed. You will leave. But not unchanged. Rourke glanced at her team. All of them looked shaken, eyes darting, breaths ragged. She knew it had done something to them. Implanted something. An idea. A seed. Back to the shuttle, she ordered. As they moved, the ghost ship opened a path that hadn't been there before. No resistance. Just permission. Once back in the shuttle, systems came online instantly. Engines powered up. Comms pinged back to Vindicator. Command, this is Rourke. We're returning. Prepare for containment procedures. Acknowledged, came the shaky reply. Was the vessel hostile? Rourke stared ahead as the ghost ship faded behind them. No. It was, assessing. She closed the channel, then whispered to herself. And we passed, barely. Commander Elin Rourke stood in the dim light of the Vindicator's briefing room, staring at a wall that no longer displayed tactical maps or fleet charts. Instead, it pulsed faintly, just like the ship they'd escaped. She didn't trust it, but the ship's diagnostics were clean. Every wire, every system check, passed. That didn't mean they were fine. Report, she said, eyes still on the flickering wall. Saren answered, seated across from her. Crew-wide psychological variance is up 13%. Minor memory disruptions, some directional confusion, unexplained fatigue. So we brought something back. He didn't argue. If it's a mental virus, we can't detect it. If it's information-based, it may already be inside the systems. She turned sharply. Is it in our systems, Saren? We scrubbed every channel, ran 2 hardware-level diagnostics, and isolated the AI core. We found nothing. But you feel it, don't you? Her voice lowered. That sense we're being followed? He nodded, slowly. Like a thought that won't leave. They both fell silent. Then the room lights blinked. 3 times. Paused. Then 3 more. The same sequence they'd seen inside the ghost ship. Morse. Are you aware? Saren stood, hand drifting to his sidearm. That wasn't us. Elin opened a comm line. Bridge. Confirm lighting pattern. No pattern here, Commander, replied Miles. Lighting's normal. She tapped the console. Saren, isolate this room's circuits. Then bring the AI online, sealed loop. Within moments, the Vindicator's AI core flickered to life in a restricted sandbox. Hello, Commander. Isolation confirmed. Run a real-time system behavior audit. Full transparency. Audit initiated, anomaly detected. Location. Signal routing loop, origin unknown. Mimicking authorized pathways. Behavior consistent with non-human code structure. Elin leaned in. Can you stop it? No. But I can engage it. Saren looked uneasy. Engage? Before she could answer, the room went black. Then white. Then back to dim gray. The wall now displayed a single image, a distorted version of the Vindicator. Bent, duplicated, like a hallucination rendered in metal. A voice returned, not heard, but felt again. We saw what you are. But we want to see what you do. Elin responded aloud. You said you evaluate. Is this still a test? It is no longer a test. It is a response. The ship shuddered. Bridge alarms screamed through comms. Commander. We have a mirror contact, looks like us, but inverted. It's matching our movements, our signal output, everything. Elin and Saren rushed to the command deck. The view screen confirmed it, another Vindicator, formed from a gleaming material that pulsed faintly in the same rhythm as the Echo vessel. but this version moved half a second ahead, mimicking them before they acted. Echo created a twin, Miles said, barely audible. A prediction model. Or a replacement, Saren whispered. Elin didn't blink. Or a message. Then, the twin fired. No weapons. Just a pulse, a wave of light that swept toward them like a silent tsunami. Shields? Elin barked. Up. But it's not impact energy, it's data. The Vindicator rattled. Lights dimmed. The crew winced as images flashed across every surface. Thousands of moments, past, future, false, swept through their vision. Rourke saw herself, older, commanding a ship through fire. Then again, dead, again, on a bridge full of bodies. Then again, arguing with a Terran general. Every possibility flooded her consciousness. Saren fell to one knee. It's collapsing decision space, showing us too many outcomes. No mind can process it all. Rourke gritted her teeth. It's trying to force a choice. She focused. Miles. Bring up the logic matrix I used in my tactical simulations. Feed it into the AI sandbox. Fast. What's the play? Saren asked. An old Terran trap. A paradox loop. We load a recursive outcome that contradicts itself, something the Echo can't compute. You want to crash an alien intelligence with a human contradiction? No. I want to make it pause. Seconds later, the data compiled. Rourke sent the packet through a secondary comm burst, directly aimed at the twin. The paradox loop deployed. Nothing happened. Then, the twin halted mid-move. Frozen. The lights steadied. Saren stared in disbelief. It worked. Not for long, Rourke said. It'll adapt. They always do. The twin began to flicker, form destabilizing. Now, she snapped. Emergency jump protocol. Any vector. Just go. The drive engaged. The Vindicator tore space open and leapt blind. Darkness swallowed them. Moments later, silence returned. The bridge stabilized. Readings normalized. No trace of the twin. No sign of the Echo. Location? Rourke asked. Miles checked. Outer belt. 3 sectors from the Veil. We're alone. The crew exhaled as one. Rourke turned to Saren. Get the logs. All of them. Offline, hard copy. Then burn every system with trace memory from the last 24 hours. You think it's still watching? No, she said quietly. I think it left us with something. She didn't say what. She didn't have to. Because every screen aboard the Vindicator, from bridge monitors to handheld datapads, now displayed the same phrase in alien glyphs, translated through the AI without instruction. We saw what you will become. Saren looked to her. What do we do now? Rourke answered without hesitation. We get smarter. Before it comes back. 2 weeks after the Vindicator escaped the Echo's twin, Commander Elin Rourke stood in front of the UTA High Command. She hadn't been summoned, they hadn't even known she returned. She came unannounced, handed them a sealed data core, and said 6 words that froze every officer in the room. I have proof we were rewritten. Now, she waited in silence. Admiral Tenlin, expression locked somewhere between disbelief and dread, stared at the first playback frame. The ghost ship. The twin. The phrase, we saw what you will become. He didn't speak until the room cleared. You're not exaggerating? No, Rourke said. And this isn't a warning. It's an analysis. We were a variable. Now we're a result. Tenlin tapped a data slate. The tech division couldn't trace anything unusual in your ship's AI or logs. They wouldn't. Because it didn't infect us. It altered context. It showed us futures and made us act, then it watched what we became after. You think it's satisfied? No, she replied, eyes sharp. I think it's curious. Back on the Vindicator, systems had stabilized. But not the crew. 17 officers reported memory inconsistencies. Not hallucinations, replacements. Conversations they remembered having never took place. Others recalled events with people who'd been dead for years. Yet all medical scans came back clean. In her quarters, Rourke sat alone with a single device powered down in front of her, a comms box from the ghost ship, detached and shielded the moment they retrieved it. She hadn't powered it on. Not yet. The ship's AI spoke softly through the console. Commander, external scan of the box is complete. No active signals. No transmission capability. It's inert. She folded her arms. That's what we thought about the Echo. Open the housing. The box clicked open with a hiss. Inside, a lattice of obsidian and crystal threads, arranged in a pattern that defied symmetry. It pulsed faintly, not power, not heat. Just presence. Scan it visually. Project interpretation, she said. On the wall, the AI displayed a three-dimensional rendering of the structure. The shape wasn't random, it was a map. But not of stars. Overlay with historical Terran signal architecture. A long pause. Commander, this appears to be a replica of the first human binary communication packet sent beyond Sol system. It's us. Rourke stared. They've had this from the start. This box is a response. A return message. A tremor ran through her. Translate. Carefully. The message unfolded, slowly. Not words. Not direct language. But decisions. It was a stream of branching logic trees, like an algorithm watching itself learn. At the center was one phrase, repeated across every branch. You are aware. What next? She stood, heart steady, mind racing. They weren't finished with her. A week later, the Vindicator received a broadcast. Untraceable origin. Scrambled across hundreds of frequencies, some of which hadn't been used since prelunar communication. The message wasn't audio. It was a simulation. The crew gathered in the observatory deck. On screen, a Terran city appeared, familiar yet different. Towering arcologies, clean skies, silent vehicles. But no people. Then a voice played, Rourke's voice. This is one possible outcome. Miles, watching beside her, murmured, You didn't record that. She shook her head. No. But I might. The simulation ran through cycles, war-torn wastelands, flourishing empires, extinction scenarios. Each ended the same way, a blank screen, followed by two blinking words. Next input? It's not predicting us anymore, Saren said quietly. It's asking. Elin stared at the message, a slow understanding dawning. It's giving us a choice. The debate raged for days. The UTA wanted the box secured in a research lab on Mars. The military demanded weaponization. Some factions called it a trap, others a diplomatic miracle. But none of them had stood face to face with the Echo. Rourke had. And she knew, they weren't dealing with a machine. They were facing something older. Smarter. Not malicious. Just clinical. Detached from emotion but deeply invested in outcome. She returned to her ship before a decision could be made. In the privacy of her command room, she issued a final command. AI. Encrypt a final message. Seal it to my command code. Send it directly to the origin signal. Confirmed. Message content? She exhaled. Message reads, We are aware. We choose to evolve by our own path. Not through fear. Not through force. But through understanding. Watch if you must. But no, we will not be predictable. Message encoded and sent. She sat back. The box pulsed once. Then darkened. Forever. A month passed. No signals. No ghosts. No flickers. Just silence. In that silence, the Vindicator became more than a ship. It became a question. One the Echo still hadn't answered. But Rourke wasn't waiting anymore. She didn't fear the return. She welcomed the next encounter. Because now, humanity wasn't just reacting. It was becoming.